Hi, what's up everybody? I am Geek for Code coming at you with a C# tutorial featuring beautiful code. Now I don't know about you, but I love to code and I love to learn. So let's go ahead and get started and hopefully we'll learn together. Now in today's video, we are going to continue our MVVM journey by creating the view model. Now the view model is the main piece to wiring up the view. It introduces the separation between the view and the model. You could say it's basically the gatekeeper of what is allowed to be shown within the view. So let's go ahead and jump into our application and create this gatekeeper with beautiful code. So the first thing that I want to point out is the last video where I showed the delegate command. I got a little bit too cautious with the argument null exceptions, throwing exceptions, and so I had to come into here, and basically what I changed is inside of the can execute command, with the command the can execute method itself, I had to change it to return true if the can execute was null, because if you remember before, we're able to create just an execute, just an execute command, or an execute with a can execute command. So we're able to create both and be able to do that. If I have a command that just has an execute and it doesn't have a can execute, I still want it to be able to work. So I'm going to return true here. The next thing that I did, I came up here to the second constructor that we created, and I removed the can execute equals null check. I removed that because, as I just said, we are able to have a null can execute if all we want is a command that has an execute method. So after that's said and done, let's go ahead and create this view model. So we're going to go ahead and create a new class inside of our view model. Let's call this information VM for view model. Alright, now we're going to clean this up a little bit, and we're going to make this public. Now the first thing I want to do, I want to make sure that the properties that I have on here can are able to be notified when the property is changed. So I'm going to allow my view model to inherit from the data property changed. And that will create the using for me. Alright. So now, let's get started. So let's go ahead, and this view model, I need an instance of the user information model that holds all of our data. So let's go ahead and create a private user information, and let's go ahead and call that information. And then within here, this is the view model is where you are going to create the bindings for the buttons as well. This is where we are going to display and create the commands for the buttons to bind to. So I need another instance, and that instance will be the delegate command class object that we created. So let's go ahead and say private delegate command, and let's call this command show user info. So we have those right there. Now the next thing we need, we have a status bar on our view, and we need to have a property to bind to that status bar. So I'm going to go ahead and say private string, I'm going to call it status bar display. Alright, now let's go ahead and create our constructors for the, well, our not constructors, only one constructor. So let's go ahead and say public information VM, and we're going to say this dot information, and we are going to create a new user information object. And then let's go ahead and we need to new up the delegate command. So in here we are going to say show user info, and let me go ahead and fix my spelling real fast. And now we're going to new up a new delegate command, and then in here we are going to name the method that we want the executed method to be. So let's go ahead and call it show user information underscore execute. Since that method is not created, we have an option to go ahead and we can have it generate that method for us. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, now that we got that, let's go ahead and let's not worry about this right now. I want to get everything else done before we actually worry about the command. So let's go down here. Well, before that, let's go ahead and create the actual properties that are going to be bounded to the view itself. So the first one we need is we need a property for the, keep on misspelling, for the user information object. We are going to go ahead and call that information. Now let's go ahead and give it a get, and we're going to return this dot information. And we're going to give it a setter, and then this setter is going to say this dot information equals value. And then in this setter, so we understand, so the UI is able to understand when a property is changed. Let's go ahead and say this dot on property changed, and within here I can say name of, and I can say the name of the property itself. Alright, now the next property that we are going to create is the property for the status bar display. So let's say public string and say status bar display, and then we are going to say a get, and inside of this get we are going to say return, and it's going to return the status bar display. And basically the same thing with the setter as in with the property for the information. And we're going to go down here. Oh, I forgot my value. We're going to go down here and say on property changed, and we are going to say name of the status bar. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's see, what should we do next? Let's go ahead and make the property that the button is going to bind to get the command. So let's go ahead. So to do that, we can say public, and then it's going to be a delegate command, and we are going to call it show user info, essentially what we called it up here. And the only thing this is going to do, this is just going to be a getter. So all we're going to do is get, and then we're going to return this dot show user info. That's all we have. That's literally all we have to do for that. And then in here, when the user clicks on the show user or show information button, this method right here is what's going to be called. So in here, what we can do, what we want to do when the user clicks the button is we want everything that the user types in, all their information that they typed in, we want that to show in the text box itself. So how we do that is we are going to say this dot status bar, and so in here, whatever we put in here, this is going to show up inside the status bar. But we kind of want to, we don't just want information to look ugly, you know, we want it to be a little bit readable. So let's go ahead and we're going to leave that as a placeholder. And essentially what we're going to do, we are going to go ahead and create a format method, and we are going to format how we want the user information to look when it is displayed to the user in the status bar. So for that, we are going to go ahead and create a private method, and this method is going to just return the string, and the string is going to be the formatted output of the user information. So let's call this formatted user information, and then in here, we are going to go ahead and we are going to return. Okay. So if you don't know what the $sign does, let me just explain what that is. Let's say you have what we want to do, we want to display this dot information dot first name. And what the $sign allows you to do is it allows you to say, put the bracket, and then it allows you to say this dot information dot first name without, let's say, just basically just like that. It allows you to actually use the property inside of a string. So before, you could probably do like a plus, and then you did information dot first name. Well, now you can do the $sign, and you can just do brackets. So go ahead and take that. So we want to actually label these. So let's go ahead and label these as first name. Let's go ahead and give it a little space, little diagonal, little bar in between. Let's say last name. I want to make that look a little bit better, so let's do last name, and then in here we can just say last name. Now I want to put this, I don't want to put everything on the same line, I kind of want everything to go on a different line. So now I'm going to do /n, and that allows you to do a new line. So we can go ahead and do that, and then say plus, and then on the second line, basically going to do the same thing. Let's go ahead and say phone number on this line, and then for phone number we're going to say this dot information dot phone number, and then next to phone number let's have email. So let's put the email in there. Let's go ahead and create a new line, and then on the third line let's go ahead and have the user city. Oh, messed that up a little bit. City. And then we are going to have the last thing, which is the user state. So now, inside of our executed, we can say the status bar is equal to this dot formatted user information. And you can see the reference. That's right there. Alright, that is basically all we need. That's literally all we need to hook up the small view model that we have. The only thing that we have to do, so I'm pretty sure everybody is aware of this. I don't know if you look at this code, but this code is full ugly. We can't leave it like this. We have to have some full, beautiful code. You can't leave it like this. So we have to go in and we have to make sure all of our code is beautiful. That's what we have to do. So let's get started. Let's do this. So let's go ahead and say, give this class a summary and say this class will be used to bind to the view. And let's say this is an instance of, and we're going to see user information. Basically it's the same thing as here. This is going to be an instance of the delegate command, and the status bar display is going to say show information on the UI within the status bar. Alright, now let's go ahead and beautylize, that's not even a word, but I'm going to say beautylize. So let's go ahead and beautylize our constructor. I'm going to say initialize the new instance of the information VM class. And then this is going to say gets or sets a value. Gets or no, let's say gets or sets the user information. And then let's say this gets or sets the information that the user provided. Alright, now we are going to make our command beautiful by saying gets the show user info delegate command, and then this is going to say, what are we going to say, execute handler for show user information. Lastly, we are going to put this, we got a style cop. Style cop makes everything beautiful. Style cop makes the whole application, the whole object, full beautiful. Gotta continue, have to continue. This last thing is format user information to display inside of the status bar. And the last thing I want to do, so style cop makes this beautiful. You see how beautiful this code is? Everything is named, everything is good, everything is beautiful. But the last thing I like to do, I like to add regions to my code. So we are going to say region private fields, and not in if, we need to end region. Private fields, if I can type. This is going to be region public constructor. I have the hardest time spelling constructor. Well, typing constructor. I don't know why, but I do. So, in region public constructor. Now this region is going to be public properties. So down here we need to say and region public properties. Down here is going to be region private methods. Private methods. Alright, there we have it. Now our view model object is complete and it is full beautiful. I want to show a little bit about these regions. So if people don't know, so if you hold down Control and press ML, it'll push up everything, it'll collapse everything. So when you expand your class, you will see the regions that you have. So you have the private fields, the public constructor, public properties, and private methods. So this way, if you have a huge file, like if you have a file that's like 100, 500,000 lines of code, regions are good. You can collapse everything, and let's say you just want to look at all the public properties. Right here, I can look at each individual public property, and I can go deep into it, and I can say what is the getter, what is the setter, and I can do that without having to scroll through all of the other code inside of this object. So it really makes it clean. So if you press Control ML again, it expands everything and you can see the full class. Well, that's it, everybody. That is how you create the view model that we will use to bind in our view, so we can show and use everything that the user is going to type in. So I want to thank everybody for watching. I'm hoping this improved your coding knowledge. Definitely don't forget to hit the like button. Definitely don't forget to hit the subscribe button. That would be great. And also, if you have any comments of, what I done, the stuff that I messed up on, essentially like I did in the last video when it came to the delegate command, if you notice that, don't be scared to make a comment and say, yo, you messed up on this, you need to fix this. It's constructive criticism is great. We're here to learn. We are here because we love code, and we are here because we want to learn more and expand our love of code. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you.